Welcome in, everybody. You know what time it is. It's the Win Daily DFS MLB early pre-lock show. Tony, Jason, it's Monday. Hopefully everybody had a great weekend. We're getting ready for 10 games tonight. Jay, we got a lot of pitching matchups, but most importantly, 2 to 3 guys right at the top of that chart. And a lot of it close to my heart because we're talking about Miami and we're talking about Philadelphia. But who's the ace we're looking at tonight?
Let me find out. You're a sleeper Miami Marlins fan. I don't know about that, but Alcantara, man, the guy's been dirty. Just going out there game after game after game and just holding teams down, man. Complete game in his last start, 9 innings, 6 Ks, no earned runs, complete game shutout. Before that, 7 innings, no earned runs, 8 Ks. Before that, 8 innings, 1 earned run, 14 Ks. Before that, 9 innings again, 0 earned runs, 7 Ks. The guy's not letting up runs. So I think he's the best guy on the slate. He is the ace of the slate. Nola is right behind him, maybe in a softer matchup against the Marlins. Philly's been swinging hot bats. I know you're excited about that. I don't really like to target the Phillies, when they're throwing a righty against guys like Schwarber and Bryce Harper, and his team is just going out there winning a bunch of games. But Alcantara is the ace. Nola's behind him, and Manoah has the softest of all three matchups. He's a little bit cheaper. You don't get a huge discount, but he's probably the one that has the safest floor here against Baltimore. Not as high K upside, not as high upside in general, but you can't discredit what Manoah's been doing. He's going to get you 20 in the start, and he's probably going to get the win against Baltimore. Toronto's starting to heat up a little bit. So all three guys in play. I got Alcantara on the top. Manoah probably the safest, and then Nola's going to be the guy that will probably have less ownership. We got to see how the day kind of taps in. So Nola's definitely in play as well. And then in the mid-range, kind of like Ian Anderson, 7,700. Bray has been hot. Washington stinks. Safe value spot there. And then our guy, we just talked about him on series on Sunday night, Zach Thompson, a different Zach Thompson, not the other Zach Thompson that we know. He's 4,300. He's a lefty for St. Louis. He had his first innings, a couple days ago. He pitched well. 4 innings, made his career debut. 1 earned run, 3 Ks. Now he's going to get the start. He was a top prospect in the past. He gets a soft matchup against Pittsburgh. 4,300 is the reason, though. We're going to go ahead and, if he goes out there, gets you 7, you're good. 9, you're happy. 12 to 15, you're in the sweet spot there. I don't think he hurts you. The only way he hurts you is if 2 of these aces or some in the mid-range, they drop 25 each, and he goes out there and only gets you 10, and then the guys you stack up don't make up that difference. So Zach Thompson, 4,300, though, is a guy that I'm going to be playing in a lot of lineups on Monday night.
Yeah, I like that play a lot. We talked about it enough, and talking about K's guy at 30% K rate in AAA, so he knows all about the strikeout. And it's funny, talking about the Phillies. Just be aware. I mean, even though they are swinging a hot bat, they strike out a ton. There's no reason to think Schwarber can go 4 strikeouts in one game. Harper could strike out once. You got Stock can strike out twice. Bone can strike out twice. Before you know it, you're double-digit K. So that's why Alcantara is so important. So, but speaking of the stacks, the bats. We just talked about, what could hurt us. Well, what could help us? Who are we looking to stack up tonight?
Yeah, look, Toronto heating up. Guerrero is in a spot with Bichette and Springer and Teoscar and Gurriel. These guys can hit, man, and they're facing Bradish. Bradish is letting up a bunch of home runs as well. Every single start, I see another home run here. 2 in his last game, 1 before that, 1 before that, 2 before that, 1 before that. So a lot of home runs, and it's not a team that you want to be susceptible to the home run ball here. So Bradish against Toronto. Toronto at home, swinging hot bats. You're going to see some home runs there. They can pop off anytime, kind of like a New York Yankees light in the AL East here. Outside of Toronto, I do like Atlanta. Atlanta's been winning. I think they're up to like 11 straight games now, so they've been hot out in the East Coast. They're playing against Washington. It should be some nice weather in Washington as well. And you got guys all throughout this lineup. Acuna has been hitting, stealing bases. You got Ozuna, Duvall, cheap bats here too, man. There's a lot of cheap bats here. Riley's expensive. Acuna's expensive. Albies and Swanson kind of expensive, but the outfield is cheap though. Ozuna's cheap. Duvall's cheap. You got to see who the third, outfielder is. They've been throwing a lot of different guys out there for Atlanta. see who the starter is. They're in a good spot. And I also think St. Louis going against Mitch Keller in a spot, and the White Sox going against Ronnie Garcia. I know the White Sox have been cold, but they still got guys like Robert, Berger, Mancada, Abreu. I'm not playing Yasmani Grandal. The guy's been really, really struggling. But Pollock, Andrew Vaughn, these are guys that are going to be under-owned. And then in the late hammer spot, you got the Twins going against Chris Flexen. You got Luis Ariz, who's been leading the league in hitting. You got guys like Polanco, Kepler, Gary Sanchez, some cheap bats there in Minnesota. And then sneaky, the Reds and D-backs could be a game that can pop up. You got Kelly versus Minor here. Both these teams can kind of be sneaky. And the Astros, multi-entering the Astros as well. Another spot that going against Taylor Hearn. You still got Altuve, Brantley, Bregman, Alvarez, Gurriel, Kyle Tucker, and then the back half of the lineup with some Siri, maybe some Adelis Diaz here, cheap bats on the bottom half of the lineup against the Raiders and Taylor Hearn.
Yeah, I really like the White Sox. We talked about this earlier. I just think you can get some really good value, especially when you talk about a Jake Berger, and Mendick taking over for Tim Anderson. I mean, you can get all those guys under $4,000. I think it's a great way, especially if you go Alcantara and a Zach Thompson as a 1B. So what about, value? We always talk about value. We obviously we there's a ton of value guys, but if you got to pick one or two guys or one or two teams, I know you went through a bunch of them, but one of your main value plays for tonight.
Look, Toronto, the bottom half of the lineup, you're going to have guys like Gurriel, Tapia, Gavin Biggio. They'll all be cheap. That's a spot that you can attack. And look, if Tapia gets a start, he's 3,000. Biggio gets a start, he's 2,600. So that's a spot you can get to. There's some St. Louis bats on the bottom half of this lineup too that will be cheap. Going against a guy that I'm not scared of, and Mitch Keller. So maybe a Bader or a Donovan, Gorman. These are all guys that I'm not saying they're super cheap, but Gorman's the most expensive at 4,000. You got Bader at 3,000, Donovan at 2,900. See what their starting lineup rolls out because this is a deep team. Carlson as well. There's going to be some cheap bats in St. Louis depending on who starts in the outfield. So look at them. You mentioned the White Sox in the spot as well. Cincinnati, Arizona, more cheap bats. Look, Arizona, every once in a while they have an outbreak game where they score a bunch of runs here. So you got a guy like Christian Walker going against the lefty. He's only 3,600. He's in the spot. Rojas 4,300, not a bad spot. And then in the outfield, you got guys that will probably start against Minor here in one of these outfield spots. Depending on who gets a start here from the right side, if Luplow gets a start here, there's going to be some situations here they can go to Arizona and get some cheap value, maybe at $3,500, $3,000 in Arizona as well.
Yeah, one guy I really like is I like Adam Duvall. He has not been hot, okay, as of late, except for yesterday. But going against Josiah Gray, he's given up 6 home runs in his last 4 starts, and Duvall just hit 2 yesterday. So when he gets hot, that could be a nice home run prop. I know they're hard to hit, but that could be one that you really, really want to look at. And you mentioned Arizona. Listen, Dalton Varsho at the catching position has been really good. I know he's 4,300, but he's been in positive point production 3 of the last 5. And I just watched him today against Philadelphia, and he's been really, really good. So he's pretty locked in. So, Jason, it's a Monday night. There's 10 games. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Twins also cheap, man. You got some guys. Just want to throw them out there too. You got guys like Larnick, who's 2,600. Look who starts out there for Minnesota when his lineup comes out. Miranda is still cheap at 2,900. He's hitting some home runs. So there's guys there in Minnesota that's cheap. We're going to be laying out K props and total base props in the Win Daily Sports Discord. So make sure you like and subscribe, and also hop over to windailysports.com. Hop in our expert chat on Discord. A lot of free content is there as well. So we've been crushing the K props. We have a cool tool. We have some prize picks props that Jared is crushing too. So make sure you check that out on the channel. He produces it every single day. He's in our Discord chat. Adam, Jared, free articles on windailysports.com. We got our projection models, lineup optimized. We have NBA Game 5, series tied 2-2. So we have some showdown lineups to make too. We'll be talking showdown lineups in our expert chat, talking MLB. And we got a ton of free content at windailysports.com. So lock into all that. We'll have some bets up in our Discord, props and game lines for both the NBA and MLB. So make sure you lock in. We'll be displaying those later tonight on social media as well. So follow us on Win Daily Sports on Twitter. Get some free picks there and get some free picks in our Discord and read some free content on windailysports.com.
Yeah, I got nothing else to say. Dude just covered it all, right? So, as always, it's Tony, it's Jason. Everybody stay profitable. Good luck, and we'll catch you back here next time.